What is going on, guys? The Across the Cowboys podcast is back. Of course, with me always is Mike, the Pig Crum, the greatest host in the world. Mike, how are you?
Doing good, my friend. How you doing? I'm not gonna lie. I like the quick hitter intro.
Why? What do you like more about it?
I don't know. It just our pods can go long. Last one went an hour and a half. I'm trying to get like 45 minutes ish. I think would be the sweet spot. And it's my fault, you guys. It's my fault. It goes long. Look at how I talk. But that would be the sweet spot. And so the quick intro, I won't comment about it every time, and we'll get going instead of me taking up a minute because I talk too much.
As much as I miss it, I know that, sometimes on Meatless Monday, that could turn into a 15 to 20-minute combo, and, people ain't got time for that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's hard for me I was cooking a lot of wild stuff then, and it was like exciting. And now it's kind of like I was doing an article and I had to watch tennis, and I was doing this. I had a quesadilla. I made a cheese pizza. Like, it's not as exciting as it once was where I was cooking up crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's funny though. Our guy Jordan, he asked last week. I forgot to post it on the stream here, but he asked about the Meatless Monday discussion. So I know somebody else is out there thinking about it as well.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk food, man. Food and football, it goes hand in hand. Sundays, Absolutely. There's always something going on. Football Sunday or Football Thursday to start the year this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nice little teaser, Mike. Before we get into our discussion tonight, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
And even though he isn't here, make sure to follow our guy, Brenden Smith, on Twitter at Brenden_Smith26. Of course, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. It's been a big week for Dallas sports as the Dallas Mavericks just won the draft lottery and the number one overall pick. And our very own Dallas Cowboys made a major move when they acquired Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver and a 6th-round pick for a 3rd and 5th-round pick. Mike, let's get after it. What were your initial thoughts when you heard the rumor of the George Pickens deal?
My initial thoughts, mine
Sorry.
was like, really Pickens? Like, is it Pickens is the guy they're going to go after?
Yeah.
I thought he was a little bit too big for him. Like, Bateman made more sense to me. I heard that division. I thought, Bateman, so, my first thought was, would they do it? So I asked somebody that, that could give me some info on it. And what they told me was, well, I haven't heard anything about a deal. They're talking to people, but nothing specific. But I have heard that they're not out on Pickens. He said that a lot of teams are like, we don't want Pickens, but Dallas is like, we believe we have the locker room for him. And the 1 year him getting paid in a year, they thought that would be big incentive for him to be good for the year.
Yeah.
And that's really, that's what made it where, like, if we can get the compensation right, we're good with him. That's not going to be an issue where George Pickens is going to be a problem for Dallas.
Yeah, initially when I heard the rumors, I was like, man, there's no way we're going to make this deal because he's on a 1-year deal. And then, you hear all the rumors about him being like a bad locker room guy, emotional and selfish and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm not even sure I want this guy on my team. But, we'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly. But how did you feel after it happened, Mike?
I was excited because I'm looking at a wide receiver 1 talent. Like, unless you have one of the top dudes, like when DK Metcalf got traded over, right? DK Metcalf, good receiver, big time receiver. Yeah. I would have Pickens as their wide receiver 1 over DK Metcalf, and that's saying something.
Oh wow, that's saying a lot.
That's how talented George Pickens is.
Yeah.
I think if Pickens went to Seattle, I would think DK's number 1. But DK coming over, I would say that's his home, that's his spot. DK's joining him. So unless you had a Lamb, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, one of those like top 7-8 guys, Pickens right there under that as like a wide receiver 1 for most teams. So getting that kind of talent, I was super excited about it.
After I heard about it, I was like, man, I can't believe we did that. Trading a 3rd and a 5th for this guy, like I didn't know what to think. So, after thinking about it and stuff, it's like, I just want to hear more information about it. So I listened to Voch Lombardi and Brian Broaddus talk about it. And when Brian said that what he heard about George Pickens was all the emotional stuff, it's that he's just a competitive guy who wants to win. It's not about being a selfish. It's not about being a locker room cancer. And I was like, okay, well then, I feel a lot better about it.
And the thing about Broaddus is he'll be real. Like, he's not going to blow smoke up your ass because Dallas made the trade. If he's like, nah, this dude ain't it, he's not afraid to say it. So him going, not that penalties and that stuff isn't a problem. As he said, you can't have the 15-yard penalties. You can't have stuff like that. Yeah. But, like, in the locker room, he's not guys hate to be around him. He's on the field like, come on, man, give me that ball. Right. like somebody call a play for me. We need to make a play. He's that kind, which isn't perfect. You'd prefer, but I mean, CD did it. CD had that issue a couple of times and had to grow out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about this locker room, this coaching stuff. I think this is going to be a good environment. And I think he's the type of player with the type of mentality that this front office is wanting to build with this team.
I agree. As Voch tweeted out, you don't build a great culture by keeping everybody out. You build a great culture so you can lead those type of people who could get out of pocket if they're frustrated or having a bad day or whatever. You build a culture to lead that group so you can get the most out of their talent without them going wackadoodle.
Yeah, and I also think, we talked about Tyler Booker being a vocal leader. I think this, we needed maybe one or more vocal guys more on the offense as well.
Well, who on Pittsburgh's offense is the leader that's calming him down? Even the head coach, defensive guy. It was all based on defense. TJ Watt, leader. Cameron Hayward, leader. Minkah Fitzpatrick, leader. That doesn't help on the opposite end of the ball. You need somebody that's on that side. And we have Dak Prescott, which you can hate Dak Prescott. You can think he's a terrible quarterback, bottom 3 in the league. Yeah. Even those people are like, well, yeah, he's a great leader. So we know what he does in that area.
Well, it's just Dak's going to command respect. He always has from people who aren't even on this team anymore. But, people who come on the team, they immediately respect Dak. And when they leave, they respect Dak. So I think Pickens is going to be someone that will respect Dak easily. And I think that's kind of the biggest issue that you want to avoid is when your receiver doesn't respect your quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. If he believes his failure is based on that quarterback's play, that's going to be an issue. And you could look at what Dak has done with a boatload of receivers, tight ends, pass catchers. He's made a bunch of people a bunch of money. And he's took really talented people like CeeDee Lamb, who are great on their own, and put them, even is able to match them at least. He doesn't drag them down. I don't want to give Dak credit for Lamb because Lamb's an all-time great player. He was great with Cooper Rush, but he doesn't play. He doesn't bring down greatness. He plays at a level where you can be great with him as a wide receiver.
Absolutely. Do you view this as an all-in type of move?
For Dallas, yeah. I think you're 1 or 2 moves away from really being Eagles level all-in type of team. Yeah. But for Dallas, when you look at the only position that didn't have hope, we all don't know if Mozzie Smith is going to. He played good the last 8 games of the year. He just did. He played solid football. In year 3, a DT, could they envision he's a first-round talent? He's got it now. He had a whole offseason healthy. He's going to be a good enough player that with the surrounding cast of Osa and Micah and Fowler and Izaraku and Williams and Solomon Thomas, who's a leader who plays good snaps, with all that talent around him, he could be elevated. You could see that. Kenneth Murray has been a starting linebacker. Has he played great? No, but he's been a starting linebacker. He's played with a team that's made the playoffs. Jack Sanborn knows defense. Even defensively, Elam played for Buffalo, who's been in the playoffs He had a bad game in the playoffs, but he had to get the help, get them there. He's a starter on the outside until Diggs gets back. You got Revel. Like, there's hope everywhere else. The only spot that you were like, I mean, we got to hope Jonathan Mingo goes from he can do nothing. Like, he's talented, he gets open, but he has no production to a legitimate wide receiver 2 threat. Yeah. And that is asking a lot. So now you cleared up the one hole that was like, we're effed here, you know? And so that's about as all in as Dallas will get. They have no glaring holes going into the year, areas you can improve on, but no like, oh my God, we have no chance here.
All right, so the next question on the sheet was, does this move make the Cowboys a contender? And I think you've already answered that. So let me ask you this: are we like a Mike Hinton away from being a contender in your eyes?
Okay, so I see them more as a playoff team than a contender. And it's not that they don't have the talent. It's that it's asking a lot for second-year Guyton, second-year BB, rookie Booker, Steele, who's always been if you want to be nice, an above-average player. He's probably been average to below average overall if you average out his career. He's had 1 year where he was above average to average. And then adding that to a new defense, injured secondary, mixing in basically two new linebackers. Will Overstrom come back? Like, asking that to all come together in 1 year is difficult. And that's what makes Dallas, the way Dallas builds their team, so tough, is because if you were going in and say they had Deron Bland done, Ferguson done, you could tag George Pickens a year, and now you're looking at a 2-3 year window, I would be like, we're going to be battling as contenders over the next 3 years. But now I have to say, they're a playoff team, maybe win around. I don't know about contenders. They would probably need definitely a slot. I think Hilton would help. And they would probably need a veteran DT that could bring a little something more than Linville Joseph or Hankins, like a little like where you got a plus player there. Maybe, I know I'm just throwing out a name. I don't think it's plausible, but DeForest Buckner. Oh, Skywalker Steele. DJ Reader. Say Detroit decided to cut DJ Reader because they have so many interior guys, and you picked him up. Something like that. You're a couple of those type of impactful moves away from really being like, we're going to play the Rams, Eagles, Niners, say they're back, say Niners come back, Kansas City or Buffalo, Ravens type teams, that handful of like right there teams. If you want to get into that, you're probably a move or two away.
Yeah, I think Eric Chiafalo, 105.3, the fan said it best. He said that this is a good move, but you're not a George Pickens away from being a real contender,
I agree. I think now you could say you should make the playoffs. Like, if they didn't make the playoffs, it would be a disappointing season.
My God, yeah, that'd be awful. Do you think that the Cowboys overpaid for Pickens?
No, I think that's a third was about right. Third was about fair. I think both teams won that trade. They got a third round, a top 100 pick on a guy they weren't going to re-sign, and Dallas gets to at least 1 year fill their wide receiver 2 hole.
Yeah,
with a top quality talented player.
I imagine the talent might not be the same. I don't think we've seen the best from him, but that Bateman trade, a fourth and having in control of him for at least a little bit longer on a team-friendly contract, man, I think that would have been a good deal.
It's not. If that deal came up, we would be like, "Oh, good, that's a good deal for
exactly,
Dallas." Yeah. But now that you have Pickens, it would be kind of a letdown for me. I would be like, "Okay, we got a good guy, but." Bateman isn't a needle mover like Pickens. Like Pickens is like could be a game like okay. Oh God, knock on wood. Say CeeDee Lamb lost his uniform and couldn't play a game, right?
Heard. Yeah.
He lost his uniform and he wasn't able to play a game.
Yeah.
Pickens could be a wide receiver 1, and you could
Mhm.
still go out there and be like, all right, we got a 1 talent that we could target 12 times, and then the
Mhm.
other guys go under. I'm not with that with Bateman. I think Bateman's a wide receiver 2. If you have CeeDee Lamb, he's excellent. If you lose CeeDee Lamb for an issue with uniform, then Bateman's like, our wide receiver core is not very strong.
I think we should make another show bet, maybe like on yardage between Pickens and Bateman. We won't do it right now, but I'll have to come up with something because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Bateman, but I don't think that he's as good as Pickens, but I don't think Pickens is like a tier or 2 higher than Bateman either.
Well, I would take Zay Flowers over Bateman myself. I prefer Zay. I like Bateman. I sound like but he's like Jamison Williams to me. He's like a good compliment to CeeDee Lamb. Where with George Pickens, I'm like, bro, this guy could I don't see any week George Pickens is out there, 8 for 140 and 2 touchdowns is possible. He's that kind of monster player.
Like he's a dude.
Yes. If he didn't have, well, let's put it this way. Why are they trading Rashad Bateman? Guy's never had off the field issues. He's not why is Jamison Williams being traded? Well, you got to pay him 20, 25. He's going to be your wide receiver 2. Like, is he really worth that? Why is George Pickens getting traded? It's because he's got off the field issues. Like, it ain't have nothing to do with that guy will murder you on the field. It's, he has off the field issues. And so it's just if I'm going to take a risk like that, go the all-in move. Go the all-in. Go get a stud with CeeDee Lamb. Like if I told you right now, George Pickens won't get a penalty, he won't be he wants to get paid, and he's going to be on the best behavior all year. Mm-hmm. You would think him for a third was, oh my God, we stole him. So what's up, Jordan? So I like that move.
I feel like if it was last year we made a move like this, we'd probably make the Bateman move and not the Pickens move with that coaching staff.
I agree. And I think I wouldn't have mind like Bateman for a 4th instead of Mingo. That made a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're gonna do a little exercise here, Mike. A little would you rather, if you will. I'm gonna give you a couple players that were drafted in the 3rd and 5th round by the Cowboys, and you tell me if you'd rather have George Pickens or those guys. First on the list, would you rather have George Pickens or Neville Gallimore and Tyler Biadasz?
Pickens, easily.
All right. Jalen Tolbert and Deron Bland or George Pickens?
Oh, man. Pickens, but Bland hurts. Fresno State guy, man. Yeah, probably. That one's close because, Bland's an all-pro player. You know what? If I would be getting Bland, though, for 4 years. Pickens is probably a 1 year. I know we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
I would probably go Bland because I know I got him 4 years.
Man, Vosh Lombardi said he'd rather re-sign George Pickens and let Deron Bland walk, and I can't get with that, dude.
I understand what he's saying as far as hope with Diggs and Ravel.
He said he'd let Diggs walk too and just have Ravel and just rebuild the secondary, rebuild the quarterback.
The reason he said that is because when you look at our 5th round pick, Deron Bland becomes an all-pro. Like Ravel, 3rd round, looks like he's going to be a good player. Diggs was a 2nd round pick, all-pro. Where wide receiver, left tackle, pass rusher, edge rusher, and quarterback are quarterback's the other one, but we've had a lot of luck in Dallas with guys you don't get early becoming really good players. So I understand his point. Not that I agree with it, but I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Vosh Lombardi, man. Okay, George Pickens or DeMarvion Overshown and Asim Richards, who I know is not,
This sucks, but Pickens, just because.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what Overshown's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you told me I get the next 2 years of him healthy, well, yeah, you could just say DeMarvion Overshown, and I'd take him over Bland and any of those other people you picked. He's one of those. I knew it when I saw him play in college. There's a reason I said he could be the best defender in the whole draft, even though I put a 3rd-round pick on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be fair. I don't know what I'm going to get out of him, and he's been injured the first 2 years, basically. So, I got to go Pickens there.
As weird as this is, sorry to go off track just for a second, but like when people talk about this 2025 season, this upcoming season, they talk about the defense. I don't feel like people talk enough about DeMarvion Overshown. It's like they just, maybe don't think he's going to be healthy, or maybe he's not going to be impactful. But it's like if Mike is healthy, and then you've got Deron Bland, of course, and then Osa, and I'm not sure what to expect from our defensive ends, but I think with a healthy DeMarvion Overshown, like this defense could really shock some people, especially with the move adding George Pickens.
If Overshown and Diggs were healthy, this could be one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah.
Because you would have 2 special playmakers in the back end, a special linebacker playmaker, and a special pass rusher.
Yeah.
And then good enough pieces, like Osa's a good enough piece. Dante Fowler is a good enough piece. You can mix and match that if you have great at all 3 levels.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see, another year of Nealon and just what Eazy-E's going to do too.
Me too. And I think Ezeraku, he was what, my 3rd or 4th top edge in this class. Like he will be a pass rusher immediately. Like they will put him in on 3rd and long, probably with Dante Fowler, and then stand up Micah and move him around and say, hey, y'all 2 are coming off the edge. Don't worry about Micah. Sometimes he'll blitz with you. Sometimes we'll drop him in a zone and try to set up an interception. But you 2, when it comes to 3rd and 7, we'll tell Micah, hey, make sure Jalen Hurts don't run. Make sure this guy don't run. Hey, watch this. Drop into this zone right here because they're not going to have long to throw. Here comes Izzy or Izaraku and Fowler coming off the edge. And Osa is in there. Like, they're going to be nasty pass rush if they could get teams to 3rd and 7.
Yeah, and then you also think about Luafau and Sanborn. I mean, I get pretty excited sometiins thinking about the defense.
Luafau's a pass rusher, man. He like they put him on the edge at Notre Dame and had him rushing. They have. If Eberflus decides to bring blitzes, they will have a nasty. And if DeMarvion Overshown comes back, gross. It's gross.
Indeed. All right, George Pickens or Cooper Beebe and Kalen Carson.
Pickens. I'm sorry, BB. I love you. Kevin Carson doesn't give me enough.
I feel that. Last one, George Pickens or Siobhan Ravel and Jaden Blue.
Ravel and Blue. I haven't seen him yet, but if you told me, like, if I had to change one thing, I would keep Ravel and Blue because I think Blue could be a lightning. I think Blue could be the second playmaker on a team.
Yeah. See, a comment from our guy Jordan. This move with Pickens in the draft got me thinking we have a chance again. If we didn't get Pickens, we would have barely won 5 games.
Dak Prescott's the quarterback. Dak has never had a losing season, and I'm not saying that he wouldn't have one this year, but 5 games too. Like, you're going to win 7-8 games with Dak Prescott because anytime he's playing a bad defense, he will cut them up.
Right. I mean, I think with Dak Prescott and you're guaranteed, I feel like 8 games at least, 8 wins.
Yeah, you won 7 last year with Cooper Rush on a much worse team than this one. Like, not even close depth-wise. Even without the injured guys, we have no Overshown, we have no Diggs. Even without them, you have a better team now. So my guess would be you would have won probably 8-9 games without Pickens, even with the lower receiving core, because Lamb's going to get force-fed 150 targets. Jake Ferguson will have a bounce back because Dak will be there and he won't be so injured. And then Jadon Blue is a legitimate lines up in the slot type of wide receiving weapon. And Javonte Williams, forget his running. Running, he hasn't been great the last 2 years. He bounced back as a receiver. He was as good a receiver this year as he was in his rookie year. So I think that's why they got him. They said, well, the running wasn't as good. Put that to what it was. He looked like he did as a rookie, as a wide receiver. So if we can make that translate with a better running plan for him, that's where he could work out as a player. I'm not saying he will, but I think that's the way they were thinking.
Right. Do you think Dallas makes this move without the intention of re-signing Pickens?
Yes, I don't think they. Okay, so I'm gonna put it like this. I've heard that the plan is they don't want to pay a. Their plan was to draft him this year. They didn't love the draft behind Tet. They didn't think that there was one that raised to the level of a couple of offensive linemen and defensive linemen that were available. Yeah. So it didn't work out this year, but their plan is to have a big year out of him, get him signed to a big contract, get probably a 4th-round comp pick, which makes the trade more of a 3rd-round 2026 for a 4th-round 2027. So it's more of a swap.
A swap, yeah.
Yeah, and then try to draft your wide receiver in the next draft in the top 50 in hopefully what they're hoping is a better wide receiver class. So that's what I have heard is going to happen, that they don't plan on paying $20 million to or more to a wide receiver 2. That's not in their game plan.
I don't hate that plan. At the same time, I think I'd rather them just fall in love with Pickens and pay him the money, because Lamb and Pickens and hopefully Fergie would just be filthy.
It's not like they got $30 million now. Yeah. And that's without signing Parsons. That opens up cap room. So they're not going to go out and spend guys. So I'd rather them just spend on who's there and just re-sign them. But from what I understand is they don't have a plan of paying the word was $25 million. I said 20, but actually in remembering, whereas they don't want to pay a guy $25 million to be the second receiver. They would rather draft one and have him for the next 4 or 5 years on a better deal to pair with CeeDee Lamb.
I wonder what Pickens is kind of asking for. I imagine he might not be, hasn't even gotten that far, but I've heard that he views himself as like a number one, and with most teams, like you said earlier, he would go there and immediately be the number one. So I'm wondering what his number is for himself.
It's going to be 25 plus. I just can't see him going under 25.
Man, I don't think he's done enough to ask for 25.
That's the wide receiver 2 rate right now. Is 25.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of season from Pickens, production wise, would you want to see from Pickens to feel good about signing him to a long-term deal?
For me, right around 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, I think is good. But honestly, for me, as long as he's not a malcontent, if he went for 800 yards on a more running team because he was a good blocker and he had 6 touchdowns, mostly red zone ones or on big plays, I'd be happy with that. Like, ideally, we're kind of running and beating people up and, keeping our defense off the field. The passing game is more to make sure we score touchdowns than it is getting us up and down the field,
Right.
So I want to score more points, and I want him to be a big part of that, even if it's blocking in the run game or you make red zone plays and you don't have to be like 12 catches, 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, there are going to be games where you're 4 catches, 55 yards, but a big 3rd down catch and a red zone touchdown. And that's a huge game, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I said I want to see at least 14 games played, 60 or more receptions, 800 or more yards, and 6 or more touchdowns.
I like it. That's about perfect. I think that's perfect.
Give us a score update on the Celtics and Knicks game, Mike.
Knicks ended up winning. It just flipped over to Golden State, Minnesota. Yeah, good for Knicks. Like, as a Laker fan, I'm rooting for Boston to lose, but I know how good they are. Like, they probably win the next 3 games. But I'm also a historical fan, and so I want the Knicks to win a game in front of that crowd. So much energy and so much like hope there. I want them to win one and give them hope the next 3 games.
I'd love to see, the Knicks have always been my second team, so I'd love to see them win a title now that, my relationships with the Mavericks is tainted, if you will.
It was mine until Luka came into the league. I always loved Knicks because I like those big markets, those old school, like big teams. But then I fell in love with Luka, so I was Lakers and Luka Mavs, unless they're playing Lakers. That was always my 2. And now, of course, the league got me Luka for Cooper Flag. So thank you, NBA.
Yeah, what an insane day for the Mavericks. Okay, if Pickens doesn't resign with the Cowboys, what kind of season from either Pickens or the Cowboys would make the deal worth it for you?
So what you're saying is if we knew that he's not resigning, like it's only going to be a rental, what kind of productive season would he we don't like that, Jordan. Tatum got hurt apparently, guys, or if anybody's listening and can't see. And I never wish for injury for people. They're still humans. I think Jason Tatum is a piece of garbage because he's a Boston Celtic. But as a human being, he's probably a great dude and a wonderful family man and a terrific person. I don't want him injured, and I hope he's able to play the next game, even if it means Boston goes on to win the title. I would rather have the guy healthy. But season-wise, what makes it worth it? I just think the hope makes it worth it right from the jump. Like if you make the playoffs and are playing, a team in the first round, whoever it may be, Green Bay, Rams, whatever, and you can sit there and go, well, we got Lamb, we got Pickens, we got an offense that could get us points and get our pass rush, going because we scored and we have a chance going into a game. I think that's enough for me. Like, I don't have to have if he's going to do this, we better have made the NFC Championship game. Without him, we weren't beating a playoff team. Like none of the main teams, you're not winning with just one weapon and a rookie running back you hope, can do some stuff. Now you have 2 legitimate, defensive coordinators got to watch these 2. And now that's what makes everyone else better. You want to make Jaden Blue the best he can be as a rookie, make defenses have Jaden Blue the 4th guy they're looking at. Where they go, hey, we got to make sure Lamb is the main guy. We got to take him out. But don't let him get over the top on Pickens. So keep a guy wide there. And then you got to watch this guy get back because they love the seam. So watch him in the seam. Keep a linebacker, back that way. If they throw it underneath, we'll tackle him. And then they're like, all right, we'll match up a safety with Blue if he comes out of the backfield or a linebacker, and we'll deal with that. And then Jaden Blue makes a move on one linebacker, makes a catch, and goes 60 yards. That's how you do that. Just being a talented player, we've seen what Saquon Barkley did on the Giants, like an all-time great talent, and he was a good player. That's because everybody was like, hey, just him. Just him right there. But you get him on the Eagles, where it's like great offensive line, great tight end, great 2 receivers. Now this guy's making an all-time great running back season. So, I just want him to be a threat that makes us a threat in a playoff game, even if we don't end up winning it.
And also, like him doing that, then the Cowboys would be like, oh man, this is what our offense could be like when somebody like a legitimate receiver next to Lamb, like we got to prioritize wide receiver 2 in the following draft.
Yes, exactly. Which I think is their plan. Although they'd pay Pickens. Just pay guys. Just pay these guys. You have the money to do it. Philly does it. They paid Cam Jurgens.
Right. That's so true, man. For me, I'm kind of the opposite of you. I need either a trip to the conference championship or a top 5 pick in 2026 to make it worth it. Kind of selfish by me. Oh,
so either they fall apart and it's like he was a locker room thing that brought them all down.
No, I'm not necessarily that, but like, let's just say things didn't go our way for whatever reason. Like, not necessarily people got injured or anything, but like, we just didn't get those lucky bounces, and for whatever reason, we finished like as a 7 or 8 win team, and we kind of looked into a top 5 or top 10 pick again, or even top 12. So, but yeah, just having a let's just say a top 15. No, I'll say top 10 pick or a conference championship appearance.
Okay, all right, I get that.
I mean, but also you kind of think about it. I mean, that my hopes are pretty high for what Pickens could add to this offense. If I think we could even make it that far.
Yeah, if their shit's together, though, they're gonna have a very threatening offense. There's got to see what they got at offensive tackle, but they could be potentially very scary offense.
Man. Just thinking about if Tyler Guyton or Terrence Steele can hit or go back. Terrence Steele can go back to being average, or Tyler Guyton can take that next step, man.
Imagine if they could really run the ball. Like, every team that plays us is like put 6 in the box, rush 4, put everybody else in coverage to try to stop Dak from throwing for 400 yards. Sucky, crappy Dak. I know he sucks. But every defense, game plans with 9 people back there, and they send 2 after a run. If you could really go, nah, dude, you guys are going to have to put 7, 8 up here, or we're going to maul you all game. That will open up everything.
Yeah, and instead of having like 3rd and 5s or 3rd and 7s, like you have more 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 1s,
It's the way the Eagles and the Rams and stuff try to set their offenses up. Yeah. Try to get yourself to convertible 3rd downs.
Yes, sir. Who does this Pickens deal hurt the most? Is it Jalen Tolbert, Jake Ferguson, or Jonathan Mingo?
For me, it'd be Tolbert, because I want run blockers out there. So for me, my guys are Mingo and Pickens are on the outside, Lamb's in the slot. You can move them around because Pickens has played a little bit in the slot too. You can move them as you need, but all of them can run block, and then all of them are big play threats. For them, it's probably Mingo, because they look at it as like, we needed a big body guy, and we got Pickens now, so Mingo kind of becomes his backup more than anything else. But hopefully he can work his way into taking over Tolbert's spot. I don't want a guy who's like that bad of a run blocker. You don't have to be great, but like, he's bad, and I don't want him out there for me personally.
It's funny. I've been listening to fantasy podcasts, just trying to, stay up to date with dynasty stuff and rankings, and people talking about rookie draft picks and stuff, and people are kind of down on Jake Ferguson after this Pickens move, and I'm like, man, the middle of the field is going to be so open, and Ferguson is going to like eat guys up, dude. It's going to be a nasty season.
I would be shocked if he didn't have around 800 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. I'd be pretty surprised.
Because, I mean, who are you going to double? Are you going to double Lamb every time, or are you going to double Pickens every time? What are you going to do?
You're never going to double Ferguson. I can tell you that.
Exactly.
And so there's going to be a lot of linebackers and safeties that aren't good enough to deal with him.
So you kind of touched on it, but who benefits the most from this Pickens trade? Is it Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, or the Cowboys defense?
It's Dak. It's definitely Dak Prescott. I mean, we've seen too many times where teams are just like, Jake Ferguson, solid tight end. He's not going to make big plays. You have no running backs who have explosive plays. We're just going to take away CeeDee Lamb, and if you beat us with somebody else, that's fine. If you throw a bomb to T.Y. Hilton on 3rd and 30 and it connects, good, tip of the hat. Tip of the hat to you, but how often is that going to happen? So now it's like, Dak's like, oh, what are you guys doing? And they're going to have to show it ahead of time more often, because it's like, don't give us a look that says we could go after this, because now I got studs everywhere. And then you gave him a Jadon Blue, is a check down option that could go for a big play. Jake Ferguson's getting one-on-ones all the time. Like, Pickens opens up the offense a lot and run blocks. Like, basically everything gets better on the offense, and that's going to help the quarterback.
I can't imagine like the first accurate deep bomb that Pickens catches from Dak, he's like, oh my God, it's been so long since this has happened.
Yeah. And there's going to be times where Dak misses it by a little bit, And instead of 5'10", 180-pound guy where you have to hit it perfect, Pickens is like, oh, damn, he threw it a little bit too far. Mine still caught it, but hey, next time, a little bit closer. That was a tough catch.
I know. I was impressed, on that same podcast I mentioned earlier with Vach and Brian Broaddus talking about George Pickens is like an elite ball tracker.
He has the most yards from like the least catchable ball percentage or something like that. It was like a wild stat that was basically like this ball was super inaccurate, and this guy somehow caught it and got the yards for it, and he's the most at that. Yeah,
and it was like he was top 5 in like the least catchable targets or something.
Yeah, he's
insane, man.
The noodle, man. That's why he calls himself the noodle. He gets it.
Interesting nickname to give yourself. Where do Lamb and Pickens rank among wide receiver duos in the NFL for you, Mike?
I have them 4th. So I got Cincy 1, Philly 2, Rams 3. I think Puka and Devontae Adams deserve that credit, and they have a really good quarterback. Burrow's good quarterback, and Hurts works in that system. He's good enough, and they just won a Super Bowl with those guys. And they have the run game. So for people that are like, well, they have this and that, well, they're going to have it again. So that duo is going to be really good. And then I snuck Pickens and Lamb just ahead of like Evans Godwin because he has Baker, like they have a good one. But neither of those two are quite CeeDee Lamb. Like it's fun to go, oh, CeeDee Lamb's a slot. This is not like over the last 2 years, nobody has more receptions or more yards than CeeDee Lamb. He's special. He's a special wide receiver. So, yeah, he's 4th for me.
I cheated here. I have Chase and Higgins 1, Puka and Adams at number 2 for me. And then it was tied for 3rd with Brown and Smith and Lamb and Pickens. I didn't really factor in like their Super Bowl or anything like that. It's widely known on this show that I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, but, maybe I should have kind of factored some more of that stuff in. But just as pure talents, I don't think A.J. Brown is better than Lamb. I'm not necessarily saying that Lamb is better than A.J. Brown. I think they're pretty equal. And Devonta Smith, I think he's really kind of coming to his own. But we haven't seen Pickens with a team like this. So I think that he could be equal to what, Smith's production this year.
I think Lamb is a little bit better than A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown's a little more limited to what he can do. He's more slant vertical where Lamb could do all that, but could do the slot and do everything else.
Yeah.
But it's close. It's like one of them's wide receiver 3, one of them's wide receiver 5. Like they're right there. But I do think from what we've seen so far, I think we could give Smith the enough of a edge over Pickens to fairly, for me, say Philly is 1. In the article that just dropped on Cowboys Wire, I had Cowboys as the best wide receiver corps in the division, but that's because the wide receiver 3 for Philly is Jahan Dotson, who had 200 yards and didn't really do anything, and their wide receiver 4 is unknown. Where we had Tolbert led the team in touchdowns at 600 yards. He's moving down a spot, getting less coverage now, and they have Jalen Tolbert, who's a big play guy that just didn't get a lot of opportunities. So what I said in the article was the best duo was Philly, but they came in second to Dallas as the best overall wide receiver room because their depth is just unknown behind the really great top 2 guys.
Kind of crazy that neither one of us had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in our.
That's for Addison. I really like Addison. I think Addison is a could be a low end wide receiver 1. Like when Justin Jefferson went out, Addison played really well, but I don't know if he could be the monster that George Pickens could.
Right.
Also, that's quarterback play is why I didn't, because I don't know what I'm getting off an injury.
For sure. That's exactly why I didn't have him in up there as well. How much did the trade affect the NFL scheduling Dallas versus Philly for the season opener?
I don't think it did. Here's what I thought they think about Dallas. I thought going into the schedule, they thought Dallas could be a 7-8 win team this year. Mm-hmm. Like, that things could go wrong. Dak hasn't been healthy all the time. The team's not loaded. They have holes that there's a lot of like, we hope this happens. Yeah. And I think they said normally they'd never waste a Cowboys game on opening night because opening night's going to get great ratings either way. But every once in a while, you're going to have Dallas playing opening night. So they were like, you know what? Throw them in here, get the giant first week rating, even more than it would be giant normal. And then, we lose it on the back end. But what if on the back end, Philly's 12-2 at one point, and the Cowboys are 6-5, 6-7 even. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's, they're going to get ratings because it's Cowboys, but it's not going to be the huge number. Teams are kind of tired of the way Dallas team builds and like they build up their team for 4 years, drafting guys and then let them go. And then they have to redraft and rebuild those players up. And there could be some melancholy, like blasé to them. So I think they just kind of said, you know what, this is a year. Every once in a while, Dallas is going to have to play in the first game. Like once every 10, 15 years, it's going to happen or whatever. So let's just give it to them this year. And just in case they end up, kind of being blah later on in the year.
Right. This is, after this Pickens trade, I'm sure that, I think you bring up a lot of good points. I think it might have been a little more enticed them to maybe take the risk of adding them to the season opener game because it's like, oh, George Pickens, now their offense got a lot better. This can be a high scoring affair, a lot, more exciting than when they didn't have George Pickens. You think about it was just a couple years ago, man, that season opener Tampa Bay and Dallas Cowboys that like came down to the wire, that shootout that they had, man, that was amazing.
That was wild. Dak still got blamed for that.
Yeah, that's insane, dude. Insane. He had like 500 yards, 500 passing yards or something.
Crazy.
I skipped a question, but where do you have the Cowboys ranked in the division after the Packers trade?
Same, second behind Philly. I'm a believer in Washington. Got to show it again. Everybody's got tape on you now. Everybody's going to see what you did well, what you did not as well. They're going to game plan for it. We've seen so many quarterbacks have a great opening year, and then CJ Stroud just last year. They still made the playoffs, but they brought in a ton of pieces, and it was supposed to be their push towards a real playoff push, and they stepped back. A lot of the reason because the quarterback play was down. It's happened to hell. Dak from his rookie to his sophomore year wasn't as good. Statistically, team wasn't as good. That it happened. So I think they're still second. Philly's roster is loaded, and Washington got to show that they could do it one more year.
Yeah, I actually have them tied for first, but second probably makes a little bit more sense. I was surprised. I heard that somebody had the Cowboys third. Maybe it's not that surprising, but I just don't think Washington has a better roster than what the Cowboys have.
They were in the NFC Championship, and a lot of times it's that young quarterback hope. Hey, if he takes the leap, and they were already in the NFC Championship game, what could they be? And they have money to add people. So I understand it. I want to see it again because we basically beat them twice with Cooper Rush. Like with Jaden Daniels in, they couldn't do anything against us. And, I just want to see, they got to show me they could win when Dak's healthy and in there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, with the addition of Pickens, how much more do you like our chances to beat Philly week 1?
It's same old. It's the same. It's going to come down to, can they stop the run? And if they do, can Dak, get them, outplay? The difference in the teams is the roster is a million times better for Philly or a lot better. But on the other end, the quarterback is more, has a chance to be more impactful, like raise the team more with Dak. So that's the hope, is that Dak can either outplay Hurts to a level throwing the ball that they overcome the disadvantage in the roster, or if they can stop the run and make them a throwing team, our pass rush might be able to make the difference in the game, maybe make Hurts make some mistakes and stuff. So that's basically what it's been the last 3-4 years with Dak. Can they stop the run? Can they score enough points, especially early on?
Yeah, I definitely think it increases our chances for sure. Without Pickens, I guess I didn't really think about it because I didn't know that the matchup was going to be this, for week 1. But yeah, I mean, you had Pickens to this offense, and I don't know, man. We've seen teams have that Super Bowl hangover, especially early in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys beat the Eagles.
Me neither. I'd pick Philly, but I wouldn't be like, we have no chance. Like, they got a really young secondary going against what could be a pretty impressive passing offense.
Yeah. As much as I like Cooper Tagine, I was impressed from what I saw last year from him. And is it Tyrion Mitchell? Is that what it is, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, they looked good in the second half of the season, man. They were definitely difference makers for that defense.
But they still had Slay, who was a veteran leader and their cornerback 1 on the team. And Charlie Garner-Johnson was the attitude guy. And they were replaced with, I don't even know if they just kind of moved up the young guys to replace Slay. And at safety, they drafted Makuba, who was my top safety on the board. I think he's a great player. But who's the veteran guy that's like, hey, this is what they're trying to do. This is what's going on. I've seen them try this before. Watch for this. When they get they're on the 40-yard line. When they get to 2nd and 5 in these situations, they try to run stuff like this. Like, hard to do that when it's a second-year guy, rookie. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, Mike, if Dak, Lamb, and Micah are all healthy for the entire season, can we compete with Philly for the division?
Probably not. Philly, we're I'd say somewhere a 10, 11 win ceiling team, and they're probably a 12 to 14 win ceiling team. Like, their roster is still loaded. They lost some depth in the trenches on both sides, and they're a little bit younger in the defensive backfield. But I have to see them, and they lost some assistant coaches. But there's still a lot of stuff that we're like, well, we hope Guyton and Steele play good, and we hope one of these running backs step up, and we hope Jake Ferguson bounces back, and we hope Mozzie can play, and we hope Sanborn and Murray can hold out until Overshown comes back, and we hope Overshown and Diggs can come back, and we hope we have a slot corner. Like, there's a lot of issues on our team, and Philly doesn't have that many issues like we do.
Yeah, that's true, man. I, maybe I'm, just excited about this Pickens deal and thinking about what this can do for our offense. So, thinking that we can compete for the division might be silly, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Hey, hopium time. This is the time of the season right after the draft that's normally Dallas's best. So right. I just, how I am. You've been on this pod with me how many years? I just look at it and go, yeah, I look at it and go, yeah, Philly's better than us. But is there most of the 7-8 ifs fall our way, say 6 of the 8 ifs we have fall our way, well then yeah, sure, we can compete. And then maybe 1 or 2 of their ifs fall badly. Maybe their right guard doesn't work out as well, and they have kind of a spot in the O-line that's not as great. Maybe the depth of defensive tackle and defensive end isn't as good, and you get a little bit more time to go after that young secondary. We'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will. All right, here we are with Mike's view from the sidelines. You touched on this when your source kind of talked to you about it, about the potential trade. And then also, we talked about this one as well, the Pickens for the Bateman. So here's your question for the night. Have you heard about any more potential moves?
It sounds like they're going to wait till training camp. I'm sure if somebody June 1st gets cut that's like a DJ Reader, maybe you'll hear some of that. But they want to get into camp and see, is Javonte Williams what we think he'll be? Is Jadon Blue what we think he'll be? How does Mozzie look? How does Toia look? How does Ravel look? Seatbelt, Kalen Carson coming back. Is Elam playing, well, or should they get another corner? So they're going to give some time in the training camp to really get in, maybe some scrimmages and stuff like that, where the coaches could really go like, this isn't going to work, or we'll be okay here. And then maybe they'll make moves. But for right now, I think they're pretty set.
All right. This would normally be Brendan's bashing, but of course he's not here. So here we are with one word. The addition of George Pickens makes this Cowboys team blank.
It's going to be a boring word, but the word is better. Makes them better.
I almost went with that myself. As boring as it is.
Versus the pass, better. Running the ball, better. Defensively, if you're passing better and running the ball better and controlling the clock, your defense is going to be better. So it just makes them better.
Yes, sir. My word was exciting.
I like it. It does, too. It's exciting to have two weapons, the caliber of those two receivers, and it just makes a possible weapon like Jaden Blue even better, because you're like, man, if you know what I mean, if he's like number 4 guy against a slow linebacker and you're getting him out, like this dude played in the slot, like he can play receiver legitimately, and you're just having him coming out of the backfield. He ran a lot of wheel routes, so you clear out with your guys and have him on a linebacker and he just wheels up the sideline and everybody's going with Pickens and Lamb, and you just, exciting is a good word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, here we are with top 5. Last week we, for those who tuned in, we did our top 5 superheroes. So kind of sticking with that theme, this week we're going to be talking about our top 5 special powers. Curious to see what your list is, Mike. I wish Brenden would be here. I feel like he'd have a pretty fun list as well.
I couldn't, the number 5, I couldn't get a name for it, because the way I looked at my top 5 is a lot of the things that you would need the superpowers for. Like, I don't feel like I'm a creepy, like, I don't like, well, what would you want to be invisible for? Well, there's a lot of creepy stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, my 5th one was, I was trying to look up a word like, because I don't mean it in a manipulative way where like you can get people to do what you want by manipulating them or controlling them, but like the ability, charisma, the ability to get people behind you, the way Booker did with Micah. Man, when I see that love leave their eyes, that's why I love football. Yeah, man. Yeah. Like I don't know the word for it, but the ability to be charismatic enough to lead people would be a superpower that I would want without having to do it in a shady, manipulative, like mind trick way. Like, haha, I tricked you into believing in me. It's like, no, you just believed in me because I made you believe in me, like in a real way.
Right. That's an interesting one, man. I wouldn't have thought of that. I definitely don't have that on my list, but I like that one. That's a really good one. So
I was trying to think of non-creepy guy one, like legitimately, like I'm not robbing banks. Like I don't know, like well, let's go through the list and I'll explain ones that aren't on my list.
Gotcha. All right, number 5 on my list. This is kind of a basic one, but I think it'd be pretty cool anyway. Super strength.
Yeah, see, I like super strength, and I think super strength's a better word than invincibility. Maybe super strength could have been my 5th. The way I looked at it is I didn't think super strength. I thought more invincibility. So super strength's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, and then number 4, I hate not to be a creep, this is definitely not for manipulative reasons or anything. I just think this could also be like a superpower, but also be like a handicap, similar to what we've seen in Professor X, but the ability to read minds.
I like that one. Yes, that's a good one. And it doesn't have to be creepy. You could be, you could make sure somebody's not lying to you. Make sure you're not being manipulated. There's a lot of ways to use mind control in a good way. Even helping you make somebody feel better because you can know what to say, that could be a positive thing for somebody that's down or whatever. You could help find ways to talk to them, to cheer them up, and use it in a good way instead of just in a, I read your mind so that I can manipulate you and take advantage of you type of thing.
Exactly. What's number 4 on your list, Mike?
Telekinesis. I'm lazy, man. Just give me my phone.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah, just
that could also be manipulative too. Yeah. When I think about telekinesis, I always go back to the movie Carrie.
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's the horror film version of it for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I even like the remake that they did a few years later, but I'm surprised they haven't tried to remake it again.
They will. They always do.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike, number 3 on your list.
Number 3 would be time control. I would like to be able to be able to save somebody. Like I see it coming, and you control the time to go back and protect people that you care about, or just animals. Like, you got some hunter out there, and I could go and smack the hunter's gun and make a miss, so the animal can run off or whatever. I wouldn't mind that.
But you're not worried about the butterfly effect of that.
I have time control. I go by.
Because I always think it's like, man, well, what would happen if I had done this? And then I look at my son, and I'm like, look at my wife. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to jeopardize the chance of being married or having my son. You know what I mean? That's
the risk. It would have to be. You would hope that the small things wouldn't make giant ripples.
Exactly, but it's always the small things that do.
Yeah, true. Very true.
All right, number 3 on my list, the ability to teleport is like, I'm here now, I kind of want Whataburger. I'm just go to Whataburger, bam. Or, I need to go here or there, just not have to get in my car, save so much time.
That's my 2. So I know you have your 2 coming up, but I might as well just put it out there. And you know what mine is. I want to go to this Disney park.
Exactly.
Anyone I want, right there. So yeah, that's my number 2. Probably should have been my number 1, but I put it as my number 2.
Yeah, it's like, we want to go to Hawaii for our anniversary. Okay, let's go. Bam, right there.
Yeah, all the travel's always the problem with vacations.
Yes, sir. All right, number 2 on my list: time travel.
Oh yeah, I guess that would. I kind of thought the same thing with time control. I was thinking the same thing, but I guess they're different though, because time control.
They are different.
You're not thinking time travel. You're thinking like I said, save somebody. Yeah, I like that. Time travel. Matter of fact, that's better than my 5th one. I would put that as my 5th.
A little Bill and Ted action.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I would want to mix that with time control.
I never did see that newest Bill and Ted movie either.
Not bad. We're seeing, if you like the first one. It's nothing great, but it's good finality to it.
Yeah. All right, you already mentioned your number 2 on your list. Number 1 on your list, Mike.
Read minds. Same as yours, lower. And for the reasons I said, it's like you don't have to use that bad, but you could also if you do want to, gamble, you can. It'd be nice to go there and you could do that. You don't have to go too much further than that, but you can sit at a card game and be able to take. Yeah. You got to make some money here. How am I going to teleport to Disney if I didn't make any money? So.
How many World Series of Pokers would you try to win if you could read somebody's mind?
I would definitely join them all. Join them all and try, because that doesn't guarantee you a win at all. Because you pre-flop, you could go have somebody go all in with Ace-8 or King-8 or something, and you're like, oh, he doesn't have anything. I got pocket aces, call or whatever, and then the flop comes and it's King-8. And then you're knocked out. There's nothing you could do,
Yeah, sometimes knowing somebody else's cards isn't enough, is it?
Yeah, exactly. What's your number 1, my friend?
Number 1 is the ability to fly. Another basic one.
But you have teleport.
That's true, but I think fly would just be like I can jump up in the air and it's like I want to get outside and do something or like be on the on top of the tallest building. I guess I could do that with teleporting, but flying at least I'm doing something. I think it'd be just kind of fun.
That's cool. That's cool. I got the new Luca Bloodlines.
What's that?
The new
shoes?
Air Jordans. Yeah, they came out in
You got to show them, dog. Show them before we get out of here.
Hold on. Go ahead and close the show while I get them.
Yes. Well, as always, Mike, I enjoyed our discussion tonight. While you're getting the shoes, remind the people where we can find you on Twitter, sir.
At CD Piglet. So there's the 7-7, obviously.
Oh man. Yeah, those are gorgeous.
Jordan.
White, black, and red always look so good together.
I know. That's why I got them. I'm like a Lucas that are white, black, and red. Yes, please.
That's the lifestyle sneaker or the on-court sneaker?
I don't know. I got both of them. I got the other Lucas, which I've shown before down there. I think they're court. I think they're basketball shoes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to have to get me a pair now. Those look really nice.
Got to get him, man. He's my favorite player on my favorite team now. I mean, what can I do?
Yes, sir. Well, guys, as always, we appreciate you joining us. I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We will see y'all next week.
Good show, my friend.
That was good. I enjoyed it.